Prabhu, all the way over to the flat. He was constantly asking, do you think this child will remain like this present? Will Jam, is this okay? Will this make them happy? He was so worried, that everybody would be happy and feel his love for them. So he came over, and it's Christmas Eve, and we had decorated a little plant in the room, and he came over, he knocked on the door, and came, big sack on his back, full. He came in, and of course, I had to make an announcement. He was coming. Ho, ho, ho. And he sat on the couch, and each child he brought onto his lap, and he said, have you been a good girl this year? And each one he had a nice little gift for. Of course, his greatest gift, myself and my family, is the gift of Krishna consciousness. Now he has brought us here to the foot. The Shikiri Govardhan. When the first Vyasa Puja I attended a few years ago, I was so nervous I didn't know what I could possibly speak. So I couldn't sleep all night, the whole night before. I was up all night in anxiety. And then finally dawn came. And at dawn I fell asleep. And actually it was as if I fell awake. And I dreamed again. It's like this is last night. That I was again a little baby. And I was looking from the perspective of baby, like this, looking up. And there's Tamal Krishna, holding me in his arms like this. And I look up, and then he handed me over, and I see there's Srila Prabhupada taking me in his arms as a little baby. And then I feel myself being carried over, and I'm handed in, and so many arms are reaching out. All of the arms of the disciples, and they hand me over like this. So I feel, really, here I am, again, and just a baby in all of your arms. I can only beg that for myself and my family, that please to hold us in your shelter, not to leave us behind, maybe also other families as well, if you can. Srila Gurudev so much was in the mood of love and family relations, and also family in many ways. And maybe if it's possible to bring some of us along with you, we need you so much. I only beg you to forgive my offenses. Hare Krishna.
Nivashesha Sanyavadi Pashyate Jatarni Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Budle Shimate Tamal Krishna Goswamin Iti Naman. So, my association with His Divine Grace Srila Gurudev started off in a very unusual way, and it proves the point when you meditate upon Krishna or his pure devotee, even in a negative fashion at the beginning, you get purified. Because my association, while Srila Prabhupada was present on this planet, was one of a competitor. It was a very unusual relationship to have with a pure devotee, like Srila Gurudev. Srila Gurudev was running the Radha Damodar party, which was the biggest book distribution party in ISKCON's history. And I was situated in South America, helping start the preaching, working with Vrindavan Maharaj there, Spanish areas. and we were competing with Srila Gurudev. And we remember one Christmas marathon when we were competing, specifically Caracas, Venezuela, and Mexico. And we would be calling him up on a regular fashion and challenging him. We're going to defeat you. And every day we would hear the scores, hear his scores from the Radha Damodar party, and we would report our scores from South America. Back and forth, and the competition heated up. So in this way I was meditating upon him in the spirit of competition. I guess it's similar to the way that Kamsa was meditating on Krishna, and somehow or other became Krishna conscious by that meditation. So, because I was not so pious at that time or advanced to be able to associate with Srila Gurudev, but by that meditation, somehow or other I gained sufficient punya, sufficient devotional advancement to be able to do so. So, my relationship with him continued in separation, not so much of the physical association until about 4 or 5 years ago. Of course, continually I was thinking of associating with him. Even when I was working with Vrindavan Maharaj in South America, I would always tell Vrindavan Maharaj, I want to leave you and work with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And he would say, just try it. He would challenge me like that. And I'm sorry I didn't try it at that point. But anyway, I was always hankering for his association. So Krishna finally fulfilled my desire approximately 4 or 5 years ago. I was the GBC chairman at that time, and GBC chairman has to go to various places to troubleshoot. So somehow or other I went to Fiji because there was some legal case there. And to help Srila Gurudev there, he asked me to go there. And while I was there, in Fiji, I experienced something that I had never experienced before in Krishna consciousness. Because as Carl just told us about Srila Gurudev's stress on the Krishna conscious family, of course, not just the actual or immediate family, but the extended family, the feelings of love between the members. Of course, this is the same teaching of Srila Rupa Goswami, Dadati Pratigranati Guyamakyati Prichati Bhumte Bhujite Chaiva, that the Krishna consciousness movement becomes spread by the loving interactions between its members. Because when the members please each other, they are serving the Vaishnavas, Krishna becomes pleased, and automatically we become Krishna conscious when Krishna is pleased. That's the methodology. So I experienced in Fiji something I had never experienced anywhere in my life, either material or spiritual life, which was the loving interactions between the devotees. And this manifested, of course, we were speaking about the loving interactions in terms of Rupa Goswami's description, Bhukte Bhajyate Jaiva, that we experienced more prasadam than we've ever experienced before in our Krishna conscious careers. Each meal was 50 preparations, 60 preparations, or more. Of course, not that we're so much interested in eating a lot, but this is a symptom that the devotees wanted to serve. And these devotees had this mood of serving, revealing their minds, taking instructions, associating with each other, helping each other in times of difficulty, because of the training that His Divine Grace Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj Gurudev gave them. He spent, in the beginning days in Fiji, after Prabhupada left the planet, actually his first disciples were Fijian disciples. Vasudev's wife was one of those disciples, and then I forget the names of the other ones, but there's 2 or 3 that were actually Srila Gurudev's first disciples. And he spent the majority of his preaching time after Prabhupada left in Fiji dedicating himself to creating a Krishna conscious culture. He traveled, the devotees were telling me how he traveled by himself, driving his car. Of course, they said he drove a little too fast. And they were scared while he was driving, and he told them, "This way I'm teaching you to remember Krishna." Because you're chanting very sincerely, driving fast, afraid that something would happen. So he would go literally town to town, village to village, the smallest villages imaginable. Villages, of course, normally when I go and travel and preach, I just go to the big cities, where they have internet connections and all the modern amenities. But he went to the smallest villages. So to this day, you go to this country, and there's some of the devotees here from Fiji, I see a handful here. You go to this country, and practically every single small village, there's a temple due to his preaching. And not only a temple, but Vaishnavas of the highest caliber. Vaishnavas with so much Vaishnava etiquette that I personally... Oops. Okay. I personally became so overwhelmed that I felt more at home in Fiji than I did anywhere else in the world. I felt like I had gone to the spiritual world when I went there. I don't want to go on too long, but one thing that brings to mind what Carl was saying, how that Srila Gurudev was approaching everyone as his family member. That last time Srila Gurudev visited Fiji, somehow or other, he knew that this was going to be his last visit. And during that visit, he would stay in a different house every night and sort of be saying goodbye to the disciples there. He had that understanding that this was his last visit to Fiji, and he was saying his loving goodbyes to the devotees. So during these last 4 years since I have been working in Fiji, of course now I'm the GBC of Fiji, I've also had the opportunity to be calling him up 3 or 4 times a week just to get advice, because I felt this is his family. Now I have to speak to the father. And I had no problem, even due to my great envy. Usually I have problems accepting someone who's superior to me or taking shelter of someone. But in this case, somehow or other, I had no problem accepting his directions 100% in dealing with his transcendental family in Fiji. So we not only were taking his advice as far as Fiji is concerned, but in general in our spiritual lives we became more and more dependent upon him. 3 times a week, and the relationship grew very, very thick and sweet. In the beginning it was more formal, like TKG at the office. But then after some time, it became very, very sweet in terms, there was even some joking in the relationship. Like I would call him up on the phone, and I would say to him, "Can I please speak to the Supreme Controller?" And he would say, "Yes, this is the Supreme Controller speaking." He said, "Am I speaking to Controller number 2? So it was incredibly sweet, that sort of joking relationship. Of course, very serious. I could see that he, more than anyone, my godbrothers, had understood the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Just like we say about Srila Rupa Goswami, Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swavadantikam. That Srila Rupa Goswami, because we are Rupanugas, we are followers of Srila Rupa Goswami, has understood the mood, Manovishtam, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in the same way, I realized that Srila Gurudev had understood the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And I felt so connected to Srila Prabhupada, I felt so dependent upon the instructions and guidance of Srila Gurudev that I didn't know how I would live before that. And so the way I found out about his departure was that somehow or other, first of all, I was talking to him about taking the same taxi that morning, because we were both taking a flight that morning. And then it was decided, because I wanted to go there a little earlier, that I would take the taxi before him. So I didn't find out about his departure until I actually arrived back in the Western world. And in one sense, I was thinking that it probably would have been too much for me to find out and have to go back to Mayapur and deal with the intense separation and not being able to attain his association anymore. So in one sense, Krishna was protecting me from a complete emotional breakdown, which I probably would have had I been there at the disappearance ceremony in Mayapur. Even to this day, I haven't come to grips with his departure from this world. So of course, the way I took shelter of him after his departure was that I immediately rushed to Fiji to be with his family and what I considered at that point to be my family too. So I feel more at home with his disciples practically than anywhere else or with anyone else. I mean, I feel this is really my family. I feel really connected with him, and I just pray in the future that I can somehow or other get his association, be able to serve under him throughout my entire Krishna conscious career, my next life. I was not so fortunate to have that benediction in this life, but I pray to Krishna that somehow or other I can serve Srila Prabhupada under his direction, life after life. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Gurudev.
And next will be Guru Bhakti Mataji.
Padidanam Avanibhyo Srila Prabhupada Manohishtam Sthapidanina Bhutale Swayam Gurudeva Kada Mayam Tadati Swapadantikam. You are familiar with this. I heard that was several speakers this morning speaking. And I also have been thinking in those terms. The kind of the position that Rupa Goswami was in relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the whole amongst all those associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I was thinking Tamal Krishna Maharaj's position was kind of similar in our context or within ISKCON family. Srila Prabhupada Manohishtam, the thoughts of Prabhupada, the mission of Prabhupada. It was more accessible or more known to Tamal Krishna Maharaj more than anyone else. That's the general perception or understanding. So, such a personality has suddenly disappeared from our vision. Disappearance of loss, greatest loss, and then comes another number 2 loss, and that is disappearance of Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Swayam Gurudeva Kada Mayam Tadati Sopadantikam. So we could only pray to him so that he would give us he would bring us closer to his feet. Or Srila Prabhupada sometimes translates that as, when would Srila Rupa Goswami kick me in my head? So when would Tamal Krishna Maharaj kick us? I think each one of us assembled here are connected with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and there are hundreds and thousands not present here also had association of Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I had hundreds and hundreds encounters, one of which he was my GBC when I joined Bombay. He was the only GBC for whole India, and his headquarters was in Bombay, and that is where I was a new bhakta. Taken sannyas, and then come to Bombay and attended. Kind of personality. He was very effulgent, very powerful. I was thinking how all the six appellations of the Lord, Bhagavan, are also quite distinctly. Was very beautiful. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was a very beautiful person. Very powerful, very knowledgeable, very renounced. All the six appellations. Tamal Krishna, name is very appropriate. While in Bombay, one Mangalarti, I was a little late. I rushed to the temple. I wrapped dhoti just like a lungi, and there was Tamal Krishna Maharaj next to me. Even before I stood up, he said, "Go back." Well, I had lungi on. And I was insisted. And I had to go right then back to Brahmacharya ashram and put proper Brahmachari. That was the last time I put lungi on. Next time was when I took sannyas. Now, not allowed. Go back. Then in 73 in Bombay, I had all arranged Prabhupada disciples staying in the temple. He arranged it. But fortunately, the girl's parents came and they kidnapped the girl that was to be. And I was very much down. Why Krishna would do bad things to good people like us. And there was Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Knowing me, he made me sit down and gave me solace. He preached to me, and the conclusion was that you marry Krishna. And then this idea of, that led me to taking sannyas later on. So I think it started with him, you marry Krishna. So he saved me, for which I'm very, very grateful. There was a time, I think, 77 especially, Srila Prabhupada would not sign letters, his letters, he would dictate, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj would sign. I have at least two letters signed by Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So there you see Prabhupada and Tamal Krishna Maharaj kind of go together. As I look at the letter, I see two personalities there. He was very expert in, well, he was very, very nice person. His family spirit, we talked about, heard from Carl and others also. But this family, his god brother, god sister family, he would also try to put it together. Especially I remember he would invite us for lunch prasad. Wherever I would go to Houston, I went a few times there. Other places, especially in Vrindavan during Kartik. Every day he would have a batch of god brothers coming over. And there used to be a little festival every day. Of course, every day everyone didn't go. I had to go a few times. He would really invest time and energy preparing the menu, and he was very, very paka, and very meticulous in everything he would do, including these lunch engagements. He would try to bring us together and have a nice time together. Priti Lakshanam. This way he would, although very busy, but he would take time off and he would arrange his lunch prasadams. And then I also remember he would take his little naps. I could never manage. I would ask him, how long do you sleep? He would say, 11 minutes. And I used to just sit around, wait around, and he would wake up. Right after 11 minutes, he's up. Feeling a little fresh also. He would go into deep sleep, and he would. So he was that way also taking good care of, very balanced in his eating and recreation, sleep. And he was gifted with very good health. He managed his time and his life. Mangalarti, one day we were a team. He was doing offering Mangalarti to Radha Madhav in Mayapur, and I was leading Kirtan, Mangalarti Kirtan. We both had very good time together, and especially this is his attachment to the holy name and Kirtan. He spent quite a few minutes appreciating how nice I was, nicely I was singing. That helped him to meditate on Radha Madhav, and so that I keep remembering his love for chanting and singing. This morning I was, when I led Guru Puja, I was singing in morning tune, thinking of this is my offering to Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, for remembering that day we were together, him doing arti, me singing. He was very kind to me. After Prabhupada's departure, he personally approached me and handed me Srila Prabhupada's kurta. I would always remember Tamal Krishna for Maharaj was such a rare gift of Prabhupada's kurta that is in my possession. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was, China mission was his, only he could handle such a mission. Prabhupada selected him. I had little role to play. Sankirtan Das, probably you know, Tamal Krishna Maharaj appointed him for preaching in China, in Taiwan, Hong Kong, that area. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj would always be very grateful. I did not do much. He also, my disciple also wanted to be there and preach, but he would always write to me, thanking me for letting Sankirtan in China. So he was a very grateful person. The way he departed, in the kind of consciousness he departed, kind of kirtans he had been organizing in Mayapur, and devotee association, bathing in Ganga every day, and doing lots of devotional service, attending GBC meetings. He was in full consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And in the Dham, Lord did not allow him to put one step outside the Dham. That was still kind of extended Navadvip Mandal that he was still part of. He kept him right and stopped him. Stop. While he was still in I was reminded of then, and I have been thinking from time to time how the Kulashekhar's prayer, Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam Addaiva me Vishatu Manasa Rajahansa Prana Prayana Samayi Kapavata Pittai Kanthavarudhana Vidho Smaranam Kutaste. Who knows when I'm old and useless, body invalid. May be very difficult to remember you, my dear Lord, Addaiva. Now is a good time. Prabhupada, now is a good time. So Krishna, who knows Krishna's plans, but he took him away. He heard his prayer. We wanted him. We could have used his association so much. What can we do? I mean, when Tamal Krishna Maharaj's body was there in front of Radha Madhav, I kept looking at Radha Madhav, but Radha Madhav kept smiling only. So who could understand? So he took him. So in a way we would aspire for such departure. Again, he was the first, in the words of Giriraj Maharaj. This is another thing. You were the first, and we wish to only follow in your footsteps the way you departed, in the kind of consciousness you departed. And this last thing was that you probably have seen Govardhan Parikrama path. Different pilgrims, they make little homes, one rock, another one on the top, second story, like that. So they are building little homes during Parikrama, and they pray, my dear Lord, eventually please bring me, so that I could have Govardhan Vas, I could reside here at the foothills of you, Giriraj. And here he goes. Tamal Krishna Maharaj has a 10 eternal residence, besides one in Mayapur. Here he is at the foothills of Giriraj. Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki. Yeah.
With, although I did have some more towards the end. I joined Srila Prabhupada's movement in London, so we didn't see much of Tamal Krishna Maharaj during Prabhupada's time, although he would come occasionally. But we knew him a little bit by his reputation, and I would say that I had this idea, you could say maybe a little negative, or at least I would say something like a little frightened of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So he would come with Srila Prabhupada, and he was really a very strong presence. I remember at Bhaktivedanta Manor, he came with Srila Prabhupada one time, and Adi Keshava was there. And I was the temple commander in Bhaktivedanta Manor. This is perhaps 76, I think, something like that. And of serving Tamal Krishna Maharaj prasadam, which was really not easy, for me at least. Things were either too hot or not quite hot enough, or something like that. And it got to be a bit much for me. Through which I appreciated his sort of cleverness, his intelligence, that there we were serving prasadam, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj didn't have a chapati on his plate, which I noticed. Then he called to one of the servants and said, "Here, bring Adi Keshava another chapati." Immediately came to attention. "Bring Adi Keshava another chapati." As the devotee turned to go away, "Bring me one also." So it struck me, actually. It struck me at the time. Very clever. Anyway, I must admit it was not easy serving prasadam, and I was temple commander and I had many things to do in Bhaktivedanta Manor, so I sort of excused myself. And then my impression of him remained like that, a little kind of foreboding type of person, something like that, a little frightened of him, until we came together again here in Vrindavan at the VIHE in 1991, and I discovered, well, he revealed to me at least, another person, which surprised me. I didn't really know, is this, what's going on here? What am I experiencing? Is it reality or... But he was really very, very kind to me. Even though we didn't know each other actually personally, practically. We didn't really know each other much at all, hardly at all. But he was really very nice to me. I was invited over for, from time to time, for breakfast, lunch, on occasion. And he was always very, very nice and took an interest in me. Our relationship, in terms of our discussions and so on, was more regarding the philosophy. And he took an interest in my interests in Krishna consciousness and trying to understand Krishna consciousness in different ways. And then I remember one thing that struck me very, very deeply is that a few years after that, I was teaching now regularly at the VIHE, and I was going to teach Brahma Samhita for the first time, for my first time. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he heard about this, and he offered to, he wrote to me and offered to send me his notes. So I didn't really know exactly what that meant, although I knew he was working on Brahma Samhita and wanted to publish a commentary, something like that, on Brahma Samhita. So he asked if I would like some of his notes. By email he asked, and I wrote back and said, "That's very nice." So then he sent me, there's just hundreds of pages, I've still got them. It's vast. It's vast. I mean, it's probably 500 pages of, I think it's the whole Brahma Samhita, at least at the point that he had got it to at that time. But he went out of his way enough. I think he got someone to photocopy the whole lot, hundreds of pages, and carry them to me in Vrindavan. And I didn't know what I was going to get, whether it was going to be, 10 pages or 30 pages or something, but it was just hundreds, which I still have. So it really struck me that he, even though we didn't actually know each other very closely, at all, but still he would go out of his way like that. And to give me this information, which, you know, I sort of figured out, and people told me it was like very sacred to him, actually, and even something not for public consumption. But he just sent it to me, had copies of it made and sent it to me, so it was very nice. And since then, while he's been at university and so on, and hasn't been circulating so much, but he would write to me from time to time. I mean, say 3 or 4 times a year. You know, his humility, he would ask me questions about this and that. I remember the last one was just not so long before he left us. Do I have Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation and commentary on the Maha Mantra? So anyway, I tried to do a little research and find it, but he would write from time to time, and very nicely, in a very gentle and kind way, keep a sort of little bit of an interest in my spiritual life. So as I say, our relationship, there wasn't really so much in terms of time spent together and so on, but there was a certain type of richness, and it endeared him to me. There's one, we heard Giriraj Maharaj wrote how you are leading and we are following, and you are sort of number one, something like that. You are the first and we're following behind. So there's one little incident which I'll close with, which one devotee told me about, which he witnessed. How Tamal Krishna Maharaj, along these lines, Tamal Krishna Maharaj went to visit Mahavishnu Maharaj, Mahavishnu Goswami, the elderly Gujarati devotee sannyasi in ISKCON, who a few years ago, had, I think it was a stroke or something like that, and was in a very serious condition in hospital in England. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj went to visit him in the hospital, and Mahavishnu Maharaj was saying, he was in quite a bad condition, and was saying, you know, I think I'm leaving. I don't think I'll...
The Vaishnavas for giving me time here. In 2000, after just the second year after Srila Gurudev's surgery, and during the process of writing him letters, a lot of letters, and I happen to be in the position that I am translating all the letters back and forth between the disciples and him. So from this aspect, I can see many personal exchanges happening here. And in one of the letters, Srila Gurudev is replying to me that he was saying that I don't know why fate tricked me in such a way that I am kept separated from all of my dearest disciples in China. I wish that I wish that Krishna can work a miracle, that he can make me fulfill all your desires in every aspect of the ways. Every spring we would, when spring comes, when the trees turn green, we know that summer is coming, and everyone is aspiring for the time that we could be with Srila Gurudev. But we are in disappointment because of various reasons, either from the government's province, either from Srila Gurudev's health, and we are missing so many chances. Certainly, China Mission is a very special part of Srila Gurudev's mission. And for the last 20 years in his life, he, in a very special way, to China. And he sent a lot of dear senior devotees, like, and our respectful uncles like Giridhari Swami, Krishna Baladev Prabhu, and Shah Maharaj, and Radhacharan Prabhu, our dear brother. And China is a very special place in comparison with other parts of the country. We don't have any memory of such grand ceremony where Shiraguri would be high on the throne. But instead, we would be in a very small room packed with all the devotees here. We don't have very big room, we just have very small room. I remember the last visit in 2000, and it was summer. And it was real, everybody's wedding, but because we don't want to disturb the neighbors so that any problems may come, so the room was packed with all the devotees that were going to be initiated by him. And that program lasted more than 7 hours. Srila Gurudev said that it was the only time he went on with the program without any interruption or any stop in his life. And after the initiation and at the last part of the program, actually he was very, very tired at that time, but still he gave us the opportunity because that was only a few days after his Guru Puja days in 2000. Actually, he flew directly from England to Beijing in a very secret, so-called secret way, because no one was expecting that he would come so quickly. And that was Guru Puja, because that was after more than 6 hours, so we only have like 20 minutes so that devotees can come in front of him, came in front of him and express from their hearts, their love, and their telling him how much they missed him. And Srila Gurudev was crying, actually tears. Because I was the translator, so I translated to him, and I saw the tears rushing out of his eyes. And at the end, he concluded that was the most memorable Vyasa Puja in his 30 years. He said he already had so many grand ceremonies, but this was the only time that he was with Chinese devotees. And the situation was very difficult for all of us. But because of this intimacy, in a program, we are not like what we are doing now. He is up here, and all of the disciples far from here and looking at each other, not like this. Actually, we are together. He is within us, and He's among all of us. That he always like that he was sitting in all of us, that we can see him clearly and exchange ideas freely. And in one of his letters, he told me that his China mission went back to 1976. That was the year that Srila Prabhupada gave him this instruction to come to China. And Srila Gurudev said, maybe I have to take birth in China in order to carry out your mission, carry out your instruction. Srila Prabhupada thought that was a too extreme idea. And later in Hawaii, Honolulu, and Srila Gurudev saw Srila Prabhupada again, but this time wearing suits. And Srila Prabhupada felt that it was a very strange way, dressing like that. Srila Gurudev replied that because in 1970s that was the Cultural Revolution in China, and rare foreigners could have the chance to come to China. And Sri Gurudev replied that was the only way that he could come to China. But he never stopped grasping any opportunity to come to China. Another part that I remembered him so deeply is about the personal relationships, personal exchanges, the way that he dealt with all the devotees. Because every time he come, I would be the translator, and in many cases he would have some personal exchanges with the disciples one by one. So I could see that how he dealt with different devotees in different way that they want. One example actually was not my god sister, but Umapati Swami's disciple, Guru Mataji, and he is the wife of Sri Gurudev's first disciple in China. Namacharya Prabhu, and actually he passed away because of TB just before Mother Kittidas passing away. So during that time, I got the chance to exchange letters between and exchange messages about Namacharya Prabhu's condition and also many things. So I had the opportunity to know that later then, and he would call Namacharya Prabhu, and Namacharya Prabhu would on the bed, were in the bed, and tears flashing out of his eyes. And after his passing away, his wife Gunamala and took shelter at Sri Gurudev because he felt that Sri Gurudev was just like his father, and because Sri Gurudev is the dearmost to her husband, so he is also the dearmost besides her own Sri Gurudev. So Sri Gurudev would reply to her letter like this: whatever you want, I would do it. I want to fulfill all your desires. And he would give all the details how she could deal with his life, his sadhana, and dealing with the association with all the other god brothers and god sisters. So his last visit was in 2000 actually. At that time, I got the opportunity to serve him personally with my dear husband Govardhan. I remember the morning that he left the hotel room, and he allowed me to do a little service for him, handling something to him, and he said, "Krishna Premi, that's your last chance." I never expected that would it turn out to be the reality. I cried so much. I don't know why. Maybe Krishna gave me the indication that your Gurudev, your dearmost Sri Gurudev, would never come back to be with you in that form. So I cried uncontrollably, and Sri Gurudev said, give you enough love that you could kept for 1 year. And I know his meaning. He means that he would come back soon after 1 year. But I was so stupid. I replied like this. I said, no, you give me much, much more love that it can last forever. But I didn't mean that he wouldn't come back again, and I am forced to keep that love forever without having the chance to see him again. So my association with him was dated back to almost 9 years ago. And during this time, I didn't got so many chances to be with him. He would come not once a year, but maybe sometimes once 2 years. And all the devotees were mean, and they were so nervous that they tend to do many mistakes. But Sri Gurudev was so merciful that he would dealing with all of them like a father, to all the love and all the compassion. He would forgive every miss. Sometimes he would chastise someone that, like once to me, Sri Krishna Premi, you're a fool. He said. He was very disappointed. But that was in front of Umaparti Swami and a few other devotees. But shortly after that, when we were together, he would say, and I apologized to him. He said, no, nothing. It's okay. It's okay. He said, love has no reasons, and love should be that with the time goes during our association. Once after another, I saw him expressing more and more love in a straightforward way. At first, he appeared to be a king. At least this was my impression at that time. He was like a king, and far away and high up. But with every time, I saw that he was more and more, and actually he was expressing more and more fatherly love to every children of him in China. So I'm missing him very much, and I also missed all the fragments of our time together. All these things are lingering in my mind, and all his dear children in China. Every time we talked about him, we would cry and cry. We would relish every single fragment, every details. One of the details that during the last visit, I and my husband and I received him in the hotel room, and he was sitting there just in front of the window, and that was about 5 or 6 o'clock, and the sun was setting, and that 2000 was the time he visited shortly after his recovery in an unexpected way, because we were thinking that he wouldn't come so soon, but actually he just flew directly from England to China, Beijing, and he was sitting there and smiling at me. He said, how do I look? I said, you look effulgent, Sri Gurudev. And you know, that was the time I saw him expressing a little shyness. He said, that's because of the light back. That was the light out of the window back at me. But Sri Gurudev undoubtedly was the most effulgent person, has the most effulgent qualities in all of us hearts, not only in China, and all the devotees all over the world. Everybody felt that he was very special with us, personally. This was Sri Gurudev, and I felt very fortunate, and we Chinese devotees are very satisfied that we could get a glimpse of his, very personal quality that might be rare to be seen in other part of the countries. And I would keep all these memories in my heart, and I think my God brothers and God sisters and all his disciples and China would remember this forever. And with these memories we can go be in China. We would carry on his mission forever. And just as he expected us to be, we would like to keep a very loving relationship and associations among all of us in China, because that's the way he wanted. And he was the most important person in our life forever. Thank you very much.
Sights to look at and so forth. I was amazed because Tamal, in our short embrace, was so humble and he was just like one of the guys. I mean, I had no idea. He never disclosed who he was. But he offered me love. What I have seen, I guess, not so much do I want to talk about Tamal because I don't know the man. I've met him, I had a wonderful experience. He really touched me. But more importantly, what is that experience did? Today, I thought I was going to be reading a letter that I wrote, and I was up in the roof here this morning. I wrote the letter I've written many times, and I'm in tears up there reading this letter. And I'm asking myself, why? The humanity of him, the humanity of your movement. How can anyone, any religion, anywhere in the world not embrace what you're doing? I mean, all I've seen, one individual after another, in the few days that I've been here, they keep going out of their way to try to make me feel comfortable. Even if it's something silly like I've got bad knees and I can't sit on the floor, so you guys get me a chair. You know, that touches me because we don't get that in the West as much as we should. You know, I'm looking at a group of people here that are dedicated their life to service and to worship God. God, if that doesn't touch you, I don't know what does. Some of it, of course, scares me, and that's the unknown. That too will heal in time. But more importantly, I just want to participate and to join you in this celebration. And thank God I had an opportunity to meet Swami.
I have to stand as a tree for many years. Tamal Krishna Maharaj and myself, Vishnu Jana and Gohari and Bhatinandan and Uttama Shloka, Devananda, we were destined for that hell, for our sinful abode, and he pulled us out. And Tamal Krishna was our leader. He was our leader then, and he still is our leader, my leader. He led us from that, he led us from Morning Star to the feet of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada came to visit us, but Tamal Krishna Maharaj took the initiative and he led us. And we have 3 gurus, and Tamal Krishna he introduced me to Krishna consciousness, and he gave me the assurance that it was cool to be a devotee. Because in those days, coolness was the epitome of style. So Maharaj, he led us to the temple at 518 Frederick Street, sitting on the pavement after the Sunday feast, pointing his finger at me with his head cocked a little bit like that, telling me that I had to give up my sinful activities. And because I had seen him join the temple and cut his hair, I thought, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. It's very difficult for me to think of Srila Prabhupada and the pastimes that I experienced with Srila Prabhupada without thinking of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. When I got initiated, I looked over the fire and I saw Srila Prabhupada, and on the other side of the fire, I saw Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was getting his second initiation. I was getting my first in Los Angeles. I was sitting across the fire again from Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I was getting a stick, and he was going to be a grihasta. When I saw Srila Prabhupada dancing on the Rath Yatra cart, Tamal Krishna was standing right beside me. To see how Krishna was getting his stick in Jaipur, I was also sitting across the fire. When I first saw Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco, Tamal Krishna was there. And when I carried Srila Prabhupada from his room in Vrindavan to preach for his last time in London, Tamal Krishna was there. Tamal Krishna was a very strong personality. And anyone who came to loggerheads with him could go away with the impression that he was insensitive, abrasive, too aggressive. But if you took the time to continue your service to Srila Prabhupada, you would see, and he would reveal his gentle, peaceful, and kind side to you. He wasn't so generous to us God brothers. We had to prove ourselves that we were dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. And then he would open his heart. Tamal Krishna led us on so many adventures. When we first went to India in 1970, Tamal Krishna led us up and down the aisles of the Pan American 747 when we were 30,000 feet up in the air in the Sankirtan. We were chanting Hare Krishna at 30,000 feet on the way to India. He had convinced the stewardess that we were a group of traveling monks, and we were performing cultural shows all over the world. And we wanted to give the people on an airplane the opportunity to see these shows. We were having Harinam. Srila Prabhupada was so pleased. Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was very interested in presenting Krishna consciousness on a high cultural level. He led us onto the stage of the Troubadour nightclub, where we chanted and danced the Swami step, with Krishna Jana on the harmonium. We slept beside each other. We shared each other's dhotis. We confronted the demons on the streets. We came to India, forging the life membership program under Srila Prabhupada's guidance. So again and again, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was my leader. And because he was so close to Srila Prabhupada, sometimes he was put in a position and chastised severely by Prabhupada. But the measure of his greatness was that he didn't go and sulk, but he mustered himself up and continued on. When he went to China, again I was in the room when he was before his spiritual master. And everyone knows the story, but it's worth telling again. At that time, the Radha Damodar party was spreading all over America. And the glories of Radha Damodar were being preached by all the members of the Radha Damodar party, including Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So much so that the temples were becoming vacant. The presidents were leaving, the treasurers, the cooks. Women were complaining that their husbands were gone in the middle of the night. They didn't hear from them. They were out distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. So the temple presidents got together. I think maybe it was the first temple presidents meeting. Again, Tamal Krishna initiated the president's meeting. They all got together and complained to Srila Prabhupada that Tamal Krishna Maharaj he's decimating all the temples. They're becoming vacant of all the good devotees. They're all going on Radha Damodar. What to do? So Tamal Krishna Maharaj was called onto the carpet, as they say. And he knew he was going to get the sauce, as they say. The proverbial sauce. So on the way down to Srila Prabhupada's quarters, he stopped off in my room and he said, "You want to go see Srila Prabhupada?" So I said, "Sure, I'll come." So why don't we bring Guru Creeper too? So Guru Creeper and I walked in to the room behind Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and we walked in, and when we walked into the room, we saw Srila Prabhupada's lower lip was quivering. And if Prabhupada's lower lip quivered, you knew you had to stand clear. So we would just guess. So we kind of stayed out in the back. The Prabhupada said, "They are all complaining against you. They say you are taking away all the men from the temples." Tamal Krishna was saying, "Well, Prabhupada, we're just trying to distribute your books. These devotees are in the temples, they're not doing much, and we take them and we bring them on the party and they distribute books. They become, better devotees, more functional." Prabhupada said, "No, these are my temples. You can't decimate my temples. You can't take them away." Tamal Krishna said, they all hate me. They don't like me. They're all envious. Classic. They're all envious of me. Prabhupada said, "No, they're all complaining. They all can't be wrong." I said, "They just don't like me, Prabhupada. I just feel like well, what should I do? I should just leave. I should go to the moon. I should go to China. I should go..." Prabhupada said, "Oh, China. Yes, that is a good idea. You can go to China." And Tamal Krishna laughed. "Prabhupada, I just said the moon. I said anywhere, China, anywhere." "No," Prabhupada said, "you said China. Krishna made you say China." On that, on Sanskrit Drake preaching, he could have just went to any university in America, but he wasn't satisfied. He wanted the best. He wanted the best for Srila Prabhupada. So therefore, he went to the most prestigious university in the world to do his graduate work. So Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was the leader. He was the bellwether, we could say, trendsetter. He just didn't do things. He would set a trend, so people coming after him would continue doing the same thing and increasing. Mayapur land, again, Achyutananda tried and failed. Jayapataka was trying, he couldn't do it, I couldn't do it, nobody could do it. Srila Prabhupada sent Tamal Krishna Maharaj to Mayapur. He came back with the deed in his hand. "Yes, Srila Prabhupada, the land is ours. Here it is, the land is ours." Prabhupada was staying up late at night. The light was on, Tamal Krishna came right in. "Prabhupada, the land is ours." And now the city will be built. Tamal Krishna got the deed. The steel to build the first buildings in Mayapur. Tamal Krishna rode up with the truck, and they had a trick. They would pretend that the truck was broken down, and then at night they would steal all the steel. So Tamal Krishna slept on the truck that night, so they wouldn't steal any of the building materials. That Srila Prabhupada was so, adamant that we get the best materials, we don't get cheated. Tamal Krishna learned that because he was with Srila Prabhupada all these times. So the kirtan continues, and it will increase joyfully, but sadly we'll be missing one person. And I hope that after the cause of my birth and the sojourn of my life, someday I'll be able to call Tamal Krishna again my Sankirtan leader.
When my mother went to that program, Srila Gurudev was supposed to speak. As he was speaking, I followed and recorded all of his speech. And after that, they had a kirtan. In that kirtan, I just came out and started dancing, followed by my mother. I think there he eyed us, and he asked Keshavati Prabhu and Kabichandra to follow us. So they came to my house, and from then on, we started doing camp. Actually, when I was about to get initiation, I wasn't sure that I would be getting initiation, because at that time I was initiated, commonly known by everyone, that people generally get a guru for the sake of just like a patient. When I was confronted by Srila Gurudev, because I was about to get initiation in a week, and I told him that I don't want to get initiation because I have already got one initiation from such and such guru. He said, "What's wrong with you?" He chastised me there and then, because I was a disciple at that time, but he just chastised me at that very moment. Then he said, "Don't you know Sandipani Muni and Tamal Krishna had got two gurus? Ramachandra, what's wrong with you, Govardhan?" They did say, I didn't have the name Govardhan that time, but he said, I just bowed my head down and said, "Okay, I surrender to you." Then from there he took care of me, and then after I rode in his car, and at that time I thought, oh, I'm a very big person in Suba, and well, actually I went to a program with him, with Vasudeva Prabhu sitting alongside with me, and then from coming, I thought I would be getting a ride again from the other side, but no, I came by bus. But actually Srila Gurudev, he liked Fiji very much. He liked prasadam of Fiji very much. I remember he brought down his godbrothers with him to taste the Fiji prasadam. And once he told in an audience that when he retires, he will retire in Fiji. But certain places were there. When Srila Gurudev was supposed to have his Vyas Puja in Fiji, he was stopped and said, "Srila Gurudev, you are having too much Vyas Puja in Fiji. Why not the others are given chance?" From then on the thing was interrupted. But in any case, he was a strong guru. He has built up Fiji with few disciples. I remember we were the second batch. I was initiated in 1979 with 4 other god brothers. And at that time, Srila Gurudev used to chastise us very much. If someone apart from us was there, I think he would have run away there and then. Once, after when I saw Srila Gurudev become a bit mellow, I asked him this question, why you were chastising us at that time? He said, no, because I had to build Fiji. I had to lay the foundation there. So with the first 4 devotees or 5 devotees, now Fiji is shining with so many devotees, much more than the other in any other place. So we have an instruction to be followed by him, and he pressed forward that they distribute Srila Prabhupada's book and go on preaching. The last time I met my Guru Maharaj was in Sydney. When he saw me, before I could pay obeisance to him, he said, "Jai Govardhan." I was embarrassed. And then again, on another occasion, my god brother invited Srila Gurudev to have prasadam at his place. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't present. He was asked to sit down inside the house. Then thereafter it was changed to have it outside. I said to Srila Gurudev that when the place has been changed, he came to me he just leaned on my shoulder, my dear Govardhan, decide whatever you say, I will do. I will go ahead. So he was very humble. And by seeing the humbleness, the more we speak of him, the less it is. The actions speak for itself. So now we can see amongst ourselves, I would have imagined disciples from all over the world, China, Philippines, so many other places. Just last few days, I met my god brothers and sisters from abroad, and I was amazed. And I told them, and I offered my help if I can do. I wanted to encourage how Srila Gurudev has shown love to them, and the love has brought them down to this place today. Now, Srila Gurudev is not with us in a Vapu form. We must be very strong by associating with him in Vani form, with his books and Srila Prabhupada's books. The instructions which he have given to us, we must march forward with it. Just like at present, before he left Sydney, should keep on preaching. Myself, my Govardhan Anandamoy, Nan Maharaj. Then the ISKCON Sydney have another body known as ISKCON Sydney West. We are part of it. We are carrying on mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the instruction of Srila Gurudev. We are doing programs in various venues every Sunday of the month together. And I also like to tell my god brothers and sisters, whatever instructions Srila Gurudev has given to you, please carry forward with it. Another thing, main thing is an association. Without association, we might be fallen apart. Remember this, keep your association with others, your uncles, god uncles, everyone. Now we have no father at all. So we deeply rely on our god brothers and sisters and god uncles. Sometimes in Sydney we see exalted personalities, they come and go, but we miss out Srila Gurudev. Our father, I can. Now I pray to my uncles, when they do come to Sydney, or go to Fiji, or anywhere where our god brothers and sisters rise, please give a chance to them, encourage them, so they may stick on the path. So, if I'm going to speak, can speak for a long time, but I think
infinitely more qualified to speak about Srila Gurudev than I.
Dallas existed barely, living in Chicago. So we moved to Dallas, and we get to Dallas and we get situated, and there was only like 5 devotees in the whole temple. So, you know, and Giridhari Maharaj was there. He was the Bhakta leader, temple commander, temple president, the temple, almost everything. So we went out to get Boga one day, and I says, Giridhari Prabhu, he wasn't a sannyasi at the time. I says, Giridhari Prabhu, why did Tamal Krishna ask me about if I liked airports or not? He goes, well, you're going to be distributing books in the airport. I says, what? Distributing books? He says, yeah, that's Gurudev's thing, distribution of books. I says, oh, well, I'll give it a try. Anyway, made a Sankirtan devotee out of me in no time at all. So that was the beginning of my devotional life. Quite a quick change in from somebody that didn't want really anything to do with anybody else but Prabhupada, you know. So he had me hook, line, and sinker. You ain't going anywhere. So that was the beginning of that. Now I'll change the flip side and I'll go into some of pastimes that we had that were quite funny. One of the most memorable times I had with Gurudev, fortunately, when he decided to move to Dallas to pursue his academic career, several changes had to be made. You know, making his office into a study, computers, desks, books, shelves, files, dictaphones, the whole 9 yards. I'm getting ready for school, so there was a big transformation in Dallas, his quarters upstairs in Dallas, which required a lot of time, and of course Gurudev being so meticulous and, you know, wanting everything just perfect. A lot of people got the sauce, so to speak. But we made his rooms nice and comfortable, and everything went, you know, this took like about 3 weeks to get everything together. I wanted to be upstairs and to help Gurudev in whatever way I can, because, you know, I just couldn't stay away from him. I was just like magnetized him. I just could not stay away. Even if I didn't do nothing, as long as I could be around him, I was happy. So he engaged me in a lot of different things upstairs, and everything was fine. So I thought my service was finished. So one day I told Giridhar Maharaj that I was going to go home and continue on now with my business that I have and my family life. I tried to leave, and Giridhar called me into his quarters and goes, "Just where do you think you're going?" I said, "Well, Gurudev, I put off my business for about 3 weeks to stay up here and, to help you get things together and make sure you're quite comfortable up here." He goes, "You think you're getting out of your service now? No chance." That service lasted almost 4 years. My business and everything just kind of was put on the side. He says, if you want to succeed in life, spiritually, or even materially, he says, you've got to keep a strict sadhana. Because if you don't have a good sadhana, then nothing else is going to be successful in your life. So I took the service of serving Srila Gurudev for 3.5 years. Not really willingly, but in time it was willingly. So that was a real sweet thing that he kept me upstairs for 3 years, and I've got to meet a lot of different devotees, a lot of different pastimes, and a lot of sauce, so to speak. That was one thing I wanted to mention. Another real nice pastime that I had with Gurudev was one morning I was up in his quarters, and Radha Vinod Prabhu was mentioning to Srila Gurudev that his daughter had an earache. And how the conversation came up, I don't know, but I was there and I caught wind of it. So he told me to go into his bedroom, and he had a little Abhishek bottle of sesame oil that for Lord Nrsimhadev, I believe in Vrindavan, that